So, of course, it's just the two of us today for our usual Good Watchers podcast.
It's
I'll tell you
December peaceful, isn't it? December, I'm not, a little bit of a shame December's here. Not so much with Rickson.
Yeah, I think Rickson's just being lazy because he was online earlier, but he's ditched us for computer games.
No, he isn't. He's drinking, isn't he?
Oh shit! Yeah. Oh, it's
He's
bank
drinking.
holiday, isn't it?
Yeah, he's drinking. He's dropped us for alcohol and birds he can't pick up. So I'm sure everyone in the comments will wish him luck with that. Yeah. I'm not so hopeful. Please put up a picture of just Jack's face from his Twitter bio. Anyway, Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah, it wasn't the... Well, we started off in qualifying, really, can't we? In Ferrari 1-2, which was a fantastic return for them around Monaco. Was 2001 was the last time they had a Ferrari on pole around Monaco, which is just ages, and just great to see the prancing horse back on pole.
Exactly. Kimi Räikkönen as well, the person I back like most weeks. I was never going to back him for pole position. I mean, I'm not a complete idiot, but pole position Kimi Räikkönen is surprising, that's to say the least. I think we were all sort of watching going, surely you can't do this, surely you can't do this. His lap came in and everyone was slower. It was madness.
Yeah, he had I watched the comparison between Vettel and Kimi, and Kimi was behind in Sector 1 and then he pulled it back in Sector 2 and 3, which was amazing. And then Hamilton having an absolute nightmare in qualifying. He messed up 2 of his laps, and then he went out for a final lap, and then one of the McLaren drivers, Van Dorn, smashes it coming around the swimming pool and ruins and ruins it for him.
Yeah, it was probably the worst moment of my life, personally, seeing not only a McLaren Honda in the wall, but also bottling a British driver's lap. But you've got to think, I think Hamilton was in the same boat sort of thinking here is like, God, that his lap was mucked up, but he shouldn't have been in that position anyway. Like, because his setup's been wrong the entire weekend. He's been struggling the whole weekend. I mean, he wasn't exactly slow in practice and stuff, but everyone's just stepped up that level with setup and stuff, and he just hasn't been able to quite get it right. And he made one of the saves of the century on that lap, wasn't it, where the car just stepped out. I don't quite know how it stepped out, but that was something else.
Yeah, I'm thinking Rickson's not here, so we haven't got him to. He's not going to moan the whole time about.
I think this was tactical, because he did say in the chat, like, literally as soon as it happened, I'm not going to turn up. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I guess the final big thing qualifying was, Button was back for the Monaco Grand Prix. Qualified 9th, which was great, but then he got slapped an engine penalty from the last race. So he started at the back. Well, started from the pits, actually, which was awful. And then, the racing goes so well for him, but we'll go into that in a little bit. But it was nice to see Button back in the car, wasn't it, Corsa?
It was weird, more than anything, to sort of have him for one race, because he's sort of like, he hasn't been in it, and then it's a bit sort of, it messes with your head a bit when you see him in all this McLaren Honda stuff that he's been in for the past, however, he's been there for ages at McLaren, and it was just a weird weekend, really, just in general, of like, Button back, no Alonso because he's racing somewhere else, and it was just odd, but
yeah,
it's a shame that the FIA could have gone, but it's not really Fernando's car, is it? Because Button's driving it. Can we ignore that bit? And then Button gets his own engine allocation. But,
exactly.
it was a shame. But I guess Button was there to sort of just... He wasn't exactly there to score tons of points and stake his claim as still an amazing racing driver. He was just there to fill a spot.
Exactly.
Which he did with grace, didn't he? To be honest, it was good on him, to be fair, because he got up to speed with the car really quickly. He was close to his teammate the entire weekend. So can't say much. Can't do much more.
No, exactly. And he was I was watching an interview with him, and he said he ploughed it into the water in the simulator when he was practicing as well.
I saw that.
Yeah, but and then I guess onto the race now, and it was all it's always built up as the gem in the F1 calendar. I'm not a massive fan of the Grand Prix because there's not much overtaking if you compare it to another track. the Silverstone or Spa or some of the greats like that. But you get all the glitz and glamour, all the celebrities turn up, and it was an okay start. Hamilton got one place from what I remember, and then it was very processional until the pit stops. I think we had Hulkenberg out before the pit stops, but that was about it. And then I guess it was all about the pit stops, wasn't it? With the overcuts, wasn't it, Causa?
Yeah, pit stops. Haven't done lap 1, which we thought would happen anyway. Didn't work out for either Verline or Button, especially Verline, and because if Button would have got out ahead of Verline in that little bit, then I think Button would have probably had a decent race. I reckon he'd have been all right, but it's just how it works, I guess. But it was all about the overcuts, wasn't it? Which is not something we've seen in F1 for a while, not since probably the days of refueling, I guess, when obviously having less fuel in the car was more beneficial. But it was just the main one really for me, although, the pit stops changed the lead and stuff, was Hamilton. Because he stayed out an extra, 4 laps on top of the cars that were ahead of him and made up 4 places. Went from 10th to 7th. And I was it came out and I was like, you sure he's made a pit stop here? Because he came out, it wasn't even, tight. Yeah. He was miles ahead of the next guy. It was mental. And then you had Raikkonen pit, because he was being slowed up by lap cars and he wasn't going very fast. And Raikkonen was setting all right laps, a little bit of traffic. And then you had Vettel going fast. And then you had Ricciardo from absolutely nowhere. Fastest lap. Overtakes Bottas and Verstappen in the process, get himself on the podium. And Vettel's in the lead of the race all of a sudden. It was just out of nowhere. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it was. It was especially Ricciardo's double overcut, which was mad. I think it might have been, you say Hamilton, I think, because Hamilton had the fastest car. When the slower car pitted, he could go around the track quicker than the other cars, and he got that gap and managed to overcut them. But do you think there was a bit of controversy, a bit of team orders maybe, in that Ferrari team, making sure that Kimi pitted first, and then Vettel had space to drive and eventually got ahead?
I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because you don't know whether they did it tactically, or you don't know whether they thought, well, all right, if we get Raikkonen out of this sort of bit of traffic, then we can get him out of it and then he'll drive. But then he ended up in traffic anyway. Lap traffic anyway. So I think if he hadn't, we'd be saying something different because he'd have been a lot closer.
Yeah.
So I think there's then sort of that to do with it. But I think Ferrari would have been wrong to not even question whether they should tell Raikkonen, look, right now, Vettel's in a championship, you aren't necessarily. I think they'd have been stupid to not even think it, but I don't know. What would you have done, honestly, in their shoes?
It's difficult because Kimi is nowhere near as quick as Vettel. Simple as that. But then you've got to think of it as they're both equally. There's no first and second driver in that team at the moment, at least. And you don't see it in many teams. Just rarely that maybe when Alonso and Massa were together at Ferrari, you had a 1-2 in that team. But yeah, it's difficult. If you're trying to be equal to both drivers, but then you want ultimately you want to win races and get the most points for your drivers and win the title, which is the most important thing. So it's a difficult one, and I don't know. It's too tricky, really, isn't it, to decide?
Yeah, definitely.
But then I guess after that it was again a bit boring. It's Monaco Grand Prix, and I guess it didn't help that the new car regs. All the cars were far wider, so it's even harder to overtake around Monaco. It's hard enough in the first place. There's 2 or 3 places to overtake at the whole track, which are difficult enough to do. But then the next big thing was Button and Pascal Wehrlein's collision. Was it Button's fault going down the inside, or was it Wehrlein cutting in on Button going round the turn before the tunnel?
Well, there was an incident with, I think it was Perez and Stroll. Perez and Massa. It was a good few laps before, into Raskas, where Stroll, the Williams, let's say, has left something down the inside. Perez has gone, I'm going for this. Little bit of turning, little bit of touching, little bit of body work, but there was no penalty. because Perez has gone for a move and the guy's turned in, race an instant, can't see him, blah, 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 nothing was done. I think it's exactly the same here, but Verline has gone corner, but there's a car there. So for me, it's a race an instant because Button's gone, I've got a great drive off here, there's some space, go into it. Verline's gone, well, it's not going up there, hasn't checked his mirror, turned, and it was a... No, it was a bit nervy. I wasn't feeling too nervy, but the commentators were a bit like, let's hope he's okay sort of idea. I was a bit like, he's fine. But you could sort of tell, because they didn't show a replay. Did you watch the race? Did you watch the race?
Yeah, I watched the race,
There wasn't an immediate replay, was there? There was no...
No,
there was no immediate replay. And as soon as there was something on the radio where Verlaine was like, yeah, I'm okay, just like sideways. And like immediately as he said that, there was like, all right, let's look at replay. Like literally immediately. So you could tell that everyone was a little bit nervy as to how he was. Which, I don't know, it was, I've never seen just a random panning shot, because you didn't see the incident first. Never seen a random panning shot to suddenly see a car against the barrier on its side. I've never seen that.
Yeah, I've never seen a car in F1 in that sort of position.
No.
It hit, because it was Button's left wheel and Verlaine's rear wheel, and he just bounced up, didn't he? It was like, do you know, it reminds me of, it was Schumacher and Graham Hill? No, not Graham
That'd
Hill.
be Damon Hill.
Damon Hill, that's the one, yeah. Damon Hill, they crashed around Monaco, didn't they, in 94?
Oh, wow, yeah, that's a little way ago, yeah.
But that was coming down to Mirabah, I think it was, which was a similar accident. Well, he didn't plant up like in the side, but it was wheel bash and bouncing up. But I think, like you said, I think it was Verlaine's fault, really. He sort of turned in on Button, and there's space for two cars to go around there. I know it's Monaco, but there is still space to go around, and I think, like you said, it was... everyone was a bit nervy because they couldn't tell what was going on, because he was stuck in the car for ages. Yeah. And then he managed to get out then, and he was all fine, luckily. But yeah, very he flipped the car we was racing in the Race of Champions. So it's similar accident there. But one incident that did make me laugh was bloody Marcus Ericsson crashing under the safety car. I was thinking, what on earth are you doing? Went straight on turn one, straight into the barrier. That's him out the race. Marcus Ericsson shouldn't even be in Formula One. He is awful, and he should be sacked instantly.
Well, the commentators for Sky were saying about how certain teams, especially Mercedes actually was one of them, were really concerned about tyre warm-ups. And because you just fit, a safety car can't go as fast around Monaco. It's as simple as that. That they were struggling with tyre temperatures and brake temperatures, and they were saying about how if you just go like you would normally on a restart or whatever, then you will crash. You will crash. And they were saying this. And Ericsson was trying to pass everyone, was like, I've got to get on with this because else I'm not going to get past everyone. And then just took it a little bit too hard. But it was similar instance of Van Dorn had, literally a two laps later.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
He was trying to go around the outside of someone.
Perez up the inside.
Perez up the inside was defending around the outside. And there was just no grip. You could see him just turn, and there was nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
It was one of the most interesting incidents of the day, because it's just so funny, because it's the slowest crash ever, and you just know that there is nothing they can do about it.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that was the issue. And I was listening to I can't remember his name, the guy who owns Pirelli, and he was saying that he wished that Monaco would have its own set of tyres because of the way there's hardly any degradation around Monaco, because it's driven on so much, and you had the Porsche Super Cup and F2 GP2 there beforehand on that day, and it just built up, and it was so easy for the drivers to drive around on, they drove Ultrasofts the whole time pretty much.
Ultrasofts could go to the end of the race.
Yeah, exactly, and that's just stupid. It should never be like that. So that it made it a bit boring. I think you had a bit at the start, and then you had all the retirements at the end. Button, Van Dorn,
they were dropping, weren't they? It was ridiculous.
Yeah, he was dropping like flies.
Absolutely,
it was mad.
Dropping.
Yeah, and you had Hulkenberg out as well with an engine failure before all that happened. But that was about it, really. And then you got to the podium bit, and Raikkonen was just really pissed off, and he didn't really want to be there up on the podium.
Raikkonen in the sort of little lobby they go to between the race ending and then them going on the podium, he was just like, no, don't look at me. No one pay any attention to me. I am like a lamp. He was like one of these people that plays hide and seek and pretends to be a lamp. And he was just like, no, I'm not here. It was, and he was on the podium and he was like, yeah, second place in Monaco. And he was like, this is bullshit. Yeah. holding up the trophy. I don't want to be here.
Yeah, exactly.
And you could tell that because like all the Ferrari guys and everything were like, Kimi, no, move to Sebastian. Sebastian's happy. Let's just let Kimi have a moment. Because
as well, all the podium was back to front because they gave the trophies before they did the anthems, and usually they go up and do the anthems first, don't they?
I actually didn't notice that.
Yeah, I picked it up. I was like, what the hell are they doing? Because they all went up, got the trophies, and then they did the anthems, and it's always anthems then trophies, because then they spray the champagne once they get the trophies, and it was all very messy, and
it was messy because then they did the interviews on the track.
Yeah, that was another thing. Yeah,
but no one knew where to go, and then there was Rosberg stood there, and then Ricciardo was there, and then Vettel and Raikkonen had sort of wandered off into Monaco by then.
Yeah,
and there was sort of the awkward where there's Rosberg stood there doing his first live TV interview, like presenting, and then there's Ricciardo there, and then they're having sort of a conversation, going, "Yeah, that's all right. Let's wait for Vettel and Raikkonen." And Raikkonen is exploring the casinos. Like, why would I want to be here?
Yeah, exactly.
It was just I don't know what they were trying something different, and it was a bit. It was let's be honest, it was a bit shit. It was a bit. Yeah.
I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Sorry, 4 out of 10.
It was more interesting than the race, though.
Yeah, that was one of the funnier bits. Well, more interesting bits of the actual weekend, but it wasn't a great weekend, really. It was just a bit.
It was nice having Jensen back. Nice being at Monaco. It was, but the race was. You knew the race was going to be a bit dull. Even though Hamilton. Imagine if we had last year's cars with Hamilton, and it was like Monza. Like what a race that would have been, but. It was pretty awful.
But one thing, Perez actually got the fastest lap of the weekend.
Yes, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up because it just came up as Perez lap record, and now that is going down in history as Monaco's lap record. Sergio Perez in a pink Force India setting the fastest ever lap around Monaco. I love that.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that sort of sums up for the Grand Prix, but also on the weekend was the Indy 500, which literally just finished 5 minutes after we've started recording, and you had Takuma Sato. There we go, got it out. Wins the Indy 500. He's like 40 years old as well. He's still winning.
He's an F1 veteran. I was looking at most of them are. Well, Max Chilton maybe not. But you had Juan Pablo Montoya still doing it.
You had Alexander Rossi as well, who did 4 races for Caterham at the end of 3 years ago, whatever it was.
Bit of Caterham, bit of Manor. But no, I was happy Sato won it. Sort of hoping Chilton would win it, just so then Matt would start riding cows around London or wherever he said he would do. But it was I know watched Indy 500 before. I don't know whether I'd watch it again. I was watching bits of it going, this is quite interesting. A little bit like F1 2017.
I definitely agree with you there. You had moments where it was amazing. Like you had some big crashes, which
I haven't seen any of the big ones.
That's to be fair. Saying it was good because of crashes is very plastic F1 fan-esque.
Yeah.
But there were some good overtaking. I think there was too many yellow flags. They were like yellow flagging over like a piece of debris that was miles off the track, which was annoying. But it was half decent. I'd say it was more entertaining than the actual Grand Prix, the Indy 500. And unfortunately, Alonso went out with like 30 laps to go. And another Honda retirement. Yeah, there was loads of engine retirements, but I guess you're pushing the car for 500 kilometres, so I'm not really surprised.
Yeah.
You had engine retirements. But to end this podcast, Causa, I'm going to ask you, I saw it in another sports podcast. Your most overrated and underrated Formula One drivers from the last sort of 21st century. Who would you say?
You gave me some time to think about this, and I probably listed through about 5-6 different names. It was actually I've written a name and then I've changed it anyway, because my first choice for overrated was Giancarlo Fisichella for being obviously Renault's first team driver over Fernando Alonso, and then going to Ferrari for absolutely no reason. But my most overrated F1 driver has to go to Heikki Kovalainen for being simply appalling. Not only in his way up to McLaren, but also in a McLaren in Lewis Hamilton's championship-winning year, getting one win when everyone retired, and then going to Caterham and being outclassed by all of his Caterham teammates. I mean, what a career that is for someone from Finland when you've got people like Bottas, Kimi Räikkönen, Mika Häkkinen. That's the word I was thinking of.
Keke Rosberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Keke Rosberg. Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
Was it his one win was around? Is it the Fuji Japanese circuits?
Who?
He did Fuji that year. I think. Yeah.
No, Kovalainen won Hungary.
Oh, was it? Oh shit! Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I agree with you. He was very overrated, and his career sort of flopped after that. I think he's doing endurance car now.
Maybe, yeah.
But your most underrated driver?
Underrated? There's a big list, isn't there? It's quite a large list.
Yes.
Because you could go for someone like Nico Hulkenberg. It's one choice, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But one person I'm going to go for is probably one of my favourite drivers of all time, is Nick Heidfeld. He was just such a likeable driver. He was driving BMWs when they were sort of half competitive. He was driving really well. He was just solid. He was consistent. It was like Ken. he was always there because he was always consistent. You'd never see him have an outrageous crash. It was I enjoyed watching Nick Heidfeld when I was growing up. It was good.
Yeah, he was all right. He was good. He was half decent for BMW, and then he sort of, I can't remember. He was at Renault at one point as well, wasn't he? Or Lotus, as it was known back then.
Yeah, for like half a season when. No, wasn't he there when Grosjean had his 5 race suspension or something?
I can't really remember.
I think he was there for that.
He didn't really do much in the sport, so I don't really remember him.
Yeah, no.
Much. I'm going to go for most overrated. Paul di Resta.
Which I completely disagree with you.
No, think about this now. So he came into the sport. He was in Force India for 3 years, and didn't do anything. While Perez was his teammate and managed to get podiums. So he should stick to presenting. No, he was so overhyped when he came into the sport. He's won DTM and he's done this and he's done that, and he was just a bit rubbish. He didn't really do. I think isn't he Mercedes' test drive? Third
Williams is reverse.
Williams, that's the
Williams
one,
now, yeah.
So yeah, I don't think he was that good, and I could also say someone like I had someone else. Who else did I have? That's the one. Ralf Schumacher, him as well. He was.
No, he was all right. He was.
I didn't.
He was very much in the shadows.
Comparing him,
he was a Schumacher rather than being his own person. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then most underrated driver, I'm going to go as Kamui Kobayashi, because his first season in F1 was bloody brilliant. He was captain dive bomb of F1 that year, and he was just made like stupid moves, but they always seemed to work out.
I remember Japan that year. It almost named a corner after him because he was just diving from miles back. That's where Crofty got. He might make a move here. That was the definition of Crofty doing that.
Yeah, and I think he eventually lost his seat and couldn't raise enough money to compete again. Oh, did he come back in for Caterham as well? I think he did.
Did a couple of races in Caterham, I think.
Yeah.
Don't really know, because by then he was sort of a bit like, I'm just racing because I can rather than because I want to.
Yeah, and then he went to he raced in the Ferrari F430 in the GT1 class in Le Mans. I don't know if he's still doing that because his first race he called it a massive incident. So I haven't googled him lately, but that's it wasn't the best career move.
He's one of those people that will. Oh, I've seen a move. I'm not going to back out of it. He was very much one of those people. His raw pace may not have been there, but his ability to make a move was.
He was a more consistent Maldonado.
Yeah, Maldonado. Can we just say Maldonado in an interview said, "I've had many offers." He basically means from Manor before they went out of the sport. I swear to God, Manor have gone, oh my God, I don't know where to raise money. Lance Stroll's gone, oh I know, Pastor Maldonado. He's got loads of sponsors. And they were, it was,
The richest man in Venezuela is backing him the whole time. So I'm not surprised he had offers because people know he's got money. Same with Lance Stroll, he's bringing in, what was it, 10, 20 million for that Williams team, and apparently he's contracted for next year with if he's still going to bring in more funds. And he finished last this weekend. Do you know one thing, cause we haven't mentioned? Palmer finished the race 11th place,
which is surprising considering it's Monaco. It's like Jolene Palmer is like me. Well, actually no, because I've stopped crashing, but that's beside the point. But you'll go, oh, Palmer's crashed again, and then Monaco for some reason decides, no, I'm just going to make sure I finish the race. Isn't that a goal anyway?
Exactly.
Palmer doesn't think about the end. He just thinks about making it past the start.
Yeah. But 11th place for Palmer, who was actually the last runner because Stroll retired with.
Yeah, well, there was
13
13 runners.
13 was it?
No, there was 2 Force Indias.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2 Force Indias for the first time didn't score points in a race for a little while because Perez got caught up in an absolute big ton of traffic and then had a puncture, and then Ocon had a puncture, and it was very unlucky in a poor race from Force India, to be honest. It's just unlucky. I think they'll bounce back next week in Canada. It's a track that suits them better.
Yeah. Well, let's do some predictions for Canada. Hopefully, it'll be a more entertaining race than.
Can't be any less.
No.
Russia is still the worst. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, every time I think back to Canada, I always think about the JB's win in 2012? 11, that's
11.
When he was at the back 3 times and still managed to win on the final lap when Vettel spun going round turn 4, 5, wasn't it? Just amazing.
And that for me is still the best race in F1 history, just because of everything happened then.
It was
delayed for 3 hours. Button was at the back of the grid, served drive-throughs. Was somehow on slicks, making a pass on the wet side of the track and still made it work. It was
amazing,
unreal. It was an incredible race. It was one of my favourite races of all time.
Yeah. So predictions wise, what are you going to go for?
Well, Mercedes and Ferrari have always been vaguely well matched, but Red Bull have also been in there for Canada before. So I think Hamilton want to bounce back again. He did it in Russia and then bounced back in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go for Hamilton pole.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to go for a Vettel win with Hamilton in second and Max Verstappen in third.
Oh, bringing in the Red Bulls in.
Red Bulls bought some big upgrades. They were looking good this weekend.
Yes, they were a lot better than usual, which was nice to see from a Red Bull fan.
Yeah, definitely. For you, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go with Hamilton on pole and Vettel to win.
All right.
And then I'm going to put Lance Stroll now. Home Grand Prix, so maybe he'll do well. No, I don't think he will. He'll probably be crashing to the World Champions at one point. But Vettel to win. Bottas in. Oh no, sorry, Hamilton. No, Seb to win. Hamilton second, and I'm gonna go for Dan Rick in.
Okay, so we got one change
in third.
One change.
Yes, exactly. Well, I just wanted to. He got a podium this time out.
Yeah.
Probably luckily because he had the double overcut, but I have to wait and see till 2 weeks now until the Canadian Grand Prix.
Oh, is it 2 weeks again?
2 weeks. Yeah, we got ages to wait now. And there's
Oh,
nothing
well.
on. Got a bit.
No.
Actually, there's rugby's on, so it's all right.
Oh wow, rugby. Anyway, I've never been big on rugby. I mean, yeah,
Yeah. Well, I'm Welsh, so it's in the blood.
yeah. That's more of your national
So,
sport, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, this I guess this ends it for a very a short podcast compared to usual. There's only two of us, unfortunately, but Rickson and December will hopefully be back for next podcast. But if you guys enjoyed the podcast, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe if you are new. Also check out Cause's channel; it will be in the link below. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for the Canadian Grand Prix. Good night.